reposted by Election Wizard. He says, just found out that crooked Joe Biden's DOJ secretly attacked my Twitter account, making it a point not to let me know about this major hit on my civil rights. My political opponent is going crazy trying to infringe on my campaign for president. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Does the First Amendment still exist? Did deranged Jack Smith tell the unselects to destroy and delete all evidence? These are dark days in America. I completely agree. The sitting president is trying to... this is beyond Watergate. What is this? Joe Biden just tried to steal private communications from his main political rival?
Yes.
Let me just repeat that for everybody. We now know, and Elon Musk obstructed this, Joe Biden, running for president, just tried to steal the private communications unconstitutionally from Donald Trump, from his private account. And only because of Elon Musk, they're obstructed. Incredible.
I think technically, and I could be wrong, Twitter owns that account. So it's technically Elon Musk's data and account. So they'd be, if they were stealing it, they'd be stealing it from Elon, but it looks like they asked him for it. So it wouldn't have been theft.
That sounds like something the NSA would say.
Well,
I think
we don't own any of our social media data.
Any reasonable person would argue that our data belongs to us.
I would like it to,
yes.
But I think legally at this point it doesn't. But it should. And on some sites, maybe it does if it's in their terms. A lot of sites want to own your stuff.
I got to tell you, I don't care what ridiculous, psychotic, totalitarian, Nazi BS the government tries to argue about why they have a right to take my private communications. They don't. The Fourth Amendment extends to what is my private communications. And they can make all the arguments in the world that when you transmitted the message over Twitter, you gave that message to Twitter. Nah. Yeah, that's like a BS argument from psychopaths who are trying to bypass our constitutional protections.
It would be like if you went into somebody's house and had a conversation with somebody else in that house and they were recording you in their house and then you left. Like technically that persons that own the house would own that communication now. That's kind of like Twitter.
No, it's more like you have it's more like you you rent a mailbox at a big, so out in the middle of nowhere, people don't have mailboxes in front of their houses. Depending on where you live, they'll actually have a mailbox building where everyone goes and collects their mail. Despite having private houses, they go to one spot. So, where we are up in the mountains, these mail trucks can't get on some of these roads. So it would be more like they said that mailbox isn't actually yours. It's property of the post office. Therefore, anything inside of it is our fair game to open and read.
I think the post office can open and read your mail.
They need probable cause. The Fourth Amendment protects us. So I will make the fair point that they're saying a judge ordered this, but that means very little to me when it is the president trying to steal the private communications of his chief political rival. That's a whole degree of effed up.
Yeah. I mean, just because there's a political campaign going on or just because Donald Trump is persona non grata doesn't mean that the federal government can just look into his private communications. And there is an expectation of privacy that people have when they use platforms like this, So
that's why they call them private messages.
That's a big mistake. Yeah, that's why you need to encrypt your messages and have end-to-end encryption. Anything that is unencrypted is viewable by every government most of the governments on Earth, I would imagine at this point.
You're totally right, but the average person doesn't,
But that's like
ignorance is not excuse,
That's like saying the government can spy on you unless you build a house inside of a Faraday cage. It's like,
if you don't
the
have
Constitution
curtains,
is to stop them from doing it.
Like if you don't have curtains on your windows, no Constitution is going to stop the cops from looking inside your house.
That's not a fair analogy. Because
you gotta lock your
when
messages.
you're sending a private message, you are not. The average person does not believe they're standing nude in front of a window. They think the curtains are up. So it would be more like the government has goggles that can see through your curtains and said, well, it's your fault for only having regular curtains. Yeah. It's like, what am I supposed to? You got to put up LED curtains.
You do. Right. Because the Chinese
That's
government.
Unreasonable.
Well, I know.
Sure. The foreign governments. We're talking about the United States government trying to steal Trump's communications.
Well, it's anybody can do it. Any government could do it.
And that's not my concern. My concern is the U.S. government violating the rights of American citizens and Joe Biden trying to steal communications from Trump to cheat an election.
Well, I mean, I think you did point out it's not, did a judge sign off on this?
It means very little when the DOJ, Joe Biden, is targeting his political opponent. I don't care. criminally charging Trump. I don't care. They've crossed the line. They're engaged in civil war.
I don't disagree with you, but I have no empathy for people that continue to text on their phones with proprietary software, to type on direct messages on Twitter and YouTube without saying this stuff. Like that is trackable data.
No, I
get it
do.
through your head. I have no empathy if you don't get that through your head. I'm sorry, I don't.
I have tons of sympathy for people who eat Splenda and drink fluoride and do a whole bunch of other really awful things because the government tells them it's fine.
Yeah, well, they should be
because there are people who should know these things, but it's not the job of the average person who's a plumber or a carpenter or who works at an insurance company to read the news and do the research every day. That's what we do. And so we try to inform them. We try to tell people, hey, man, you got to encrypt your messages. Hey, you got to eat healthy. You got to exercise, and you got to pay attention to what's going on to the best of your abilities. But the point is, the average person, people are out there building houses. Okay, they're working 8, 12-hour days. They're not going to go online and research fluoride for 27 years to figure out what's going on with the water, or atrazine, or sucralose, or other stuff like that. So they come to shows like this, and we do our best to inform them to the best of our abilities. So I do have sympathy for people. They think their messages are private because it's only between them and another person. If there was a big red stop sign on the thing that said anyone can see this, they would take it much more seriously. But they're not being told that. They're being misled. Outside of all of that, the most important thing to consider, it doesn't matter whether or not Donald Trump can be spied on by China or Australia or any other country. It doesn't matter if private messages are not secure. What matters is, even if I paint a big picture and I put it in my bedroom, the federal government does not have a right to come and take it without a warrant. In this instance, the chief political rival is being targeted by the sitting president for political purposes. You're not going to make an argument about warrants in that case. The Constitution has been ripped to shreds, and Joe Biden is cheating to try and steal 2024.